Your hand is already pulling back before your brain understands why. 2 pinpricks on your ankle, a flash of heat where the fangs met skin, you didn't even see it move. 1 second there was grass under your boot, and now there's a shape sliding into the brush. Gone before you can name it, your heart is already pounding harder than the moment requires. Not yet from the venom, just from the shock. You're a few hours into a walk somewhere in the African bush, boots dusty, water bottle half empty, phone signal thin. This is the kind of encounter field researchers and rural workers know by reputation long before they ever see it. The black mamba, one of the fastest snakes on the continent, capable of moving at speeds that outrun a jogging human and carrying a neurotoxic venom built to shut down a system fast. You didn't step on it, you just happened to be in its path within the first 60 seconds, the venom is already moving. Neurotoxins are compounds that jam the connection between nerves and muscles, and this one is spreading through your bloodstream and lymphatic channels almost as soon as it enters the wound. You feel a strange tingling start around your lips, a metallic taste settles on your tongue. These are some of the earliest markers doctors look for, and they show up long before anything visible happens at the bite site itself. By the 5-minute mark, your vision has started to blur at the edges. Your eyelids feel heavier than they should this early in the day. This is called ptosis, a drooping of the eyelid muscles, and it's one of the clearest early signs of neurotoxic envenomation. The toxins are binding to receptors at your neuromuscular junctions, the tiny gaps where nerve signals normally tell muscle to contract. Right now, those signals are getting weaker with every passing minute. 20 minutes in, and swallowing has become a conscious effort. Your throat doesn't want to cooperate the way it used to. Talking feels like pushing words through wet sand. This is bulbar weakness. When the nerves controlling your throat and face start to lose their signal strength, you're not in pain. That's almost the strangest part. Mamba venom rarely burns or aches the way some other venoms do, it just quietly turns the volume down on your own nervous system. By the 1 hour point, your breathing has changed. Shorter, shallower, your diaphragm, the muscle that does most of the work pulling air into your lungs, is beginning to weaken along with everything else the venom has touched. This is the real danger of a mamba bite. It isn't the heart, it isn't the blood, it's respiratory failure, the slow shutdown of the muscles that keep you breathing at all, while your mind for a while longer stays completely clear. That clarity is its own kind of cruelty. Your brain isn't affected the way your muscles are. You can still think, you can still understand exactly what's happening to you. One system at a time, while your body stops answering your commands. Reports from documented bites describe this same pattern again and again, full awareness paired with a body that no longer responds the way it should. 2 hours in, if no antivenom has reached you, your limbs feel foreign, heavy in a way that has nothing to do with tiredness. Lifting an arm takes a decision, and then a delay before anything happens. Research on elapid venoms, the family that includes mambas, cobras, and kraits, shows this progressive paralysis follows a fairly predictable order. Face first, throat next, limbs after that, and finally the muscles of respiration. 6 hours is often cited in toxinology literature as a rough marker for how quickly untreated mamba envenomation can become fatal. Through respiratory arrest, though the real timeline varies with dose, bite location, and body size. This is why field guides in mamba territory tend to repeat one message above all others. Reach medical care immediately, because antivenom, when administered in time, works directly against this exact mechanism, competing with the toxins for the same receptor sites and letting the neuromuscular signal return. If antivenom reaches you in time, the reversal can be almost as fast as the onset. Within 30 to 60 minutes of treatment, some of the earliest symptoms, the drooping eyelids, the slurred speech, begin to ease. Full recovery of breathing muscles can take longer, sometimes with a period of mechanical ventilation as a bridge while the neuromuscular junctions clear themselves of the toxin and start firing normally again. Documented cases from hospitals in mamba endemic regions describe patients who were fully paralyzed, unable to breathe on their own, and who walked out days later with no lasting nerve damage because the venom doesn't destroy the nerve or the muscle. It only blocks the signal between them temporarily. Once the toxin clears and the antivenom has done its work, that connection reopens. What this scenario reveals goes far beyond one bite in the bush. It shows how much of what keeps you upright, breathing, and speaking right now depends on a signal traveling across a gap smaller than a cell over and over, thousands of times a minute. Without you ever noticing it happen, your body runs almost entirely on these tiny electrochemical handoffs between nerve and muscle. Most days you never think about them at all, you only notice the system when something interrupts it. That's the quiet thread connecting a black mamba bite in the African bush to the ordinary rhythm of your own body right now. Somewhere in you, a nerve just fired and a muscle just answered. It's happening again as you hear this. The gap between them stayed open, that's the whole difference.